Hoosiers love basketball, and I love basketball.
James Sceniak's friends tell a story about the time he tried to dunk on a guy 2 feet taller than he was. It's a story that reminds the 34-year-old Goshen native of his current bid for the United States Senate as Indiana's Libertarian candidate.
There's a lot of uphill battles, but I believe as we continue to move our message, Hoosiers will recognize it, and they'll start to resonate and understand what the Libertarian Party is as a whole, but also who I am as a candidate.
Sceniak works as a behavioral therapist with kids on the autism spectrum.
Why are you running for United States Senate?
I really believe that it's time for the rhetoric of the very far left and the very far right to actually have a middle option and to present that to voters. I really wanted a strong voice at the top of the ticket that could communicate the values of libertarianism, communicate those values of smaller government, but also look at ways to come to the table for solutions for Hoosiers, and I felt I was the right voice this year for that.
Sceniak does not support a ban on abortion. He also considers himself pro-life.
The way we reduce abortions is not by bans. It's looking at ways and why women are making these very difficult decisions. And I believe that when we subsidize things like adoption, when we look at supporting our foster care, when we make contraception available over the counter, those are ways we naturally reduce abortion.
Sceniak himself says he and his sister fostered 2 young children for over a year.
But it gave me a very hands-on perspective as well as a heart for those kids. So that's a story that I don't get to tell a whole lot, but it's really a passion of mine.
So are the children Sceniak works with every day.
The kids with autism, they don't see the differences that we do. They don't look at your political agenda.
For his part, Sceniak says his agenda is civil liberties and letting voters know they have more than 2 choices on Election Day.
If we're frustrated with the system and how Washington, D.C. is serving us, we have to think of different ways to represent us. And that's voting differently sometimes, and that's looking for all your options on the ballot. You may or may not want to vote for me, but at least educate yourself about all 3 candidates for the Senate race and see which one aligns with your values best. I believe when we do that and we stop voting party lines, we'll actually be much, much better represented in Washington, D.C.